religious teachings of the Buddha was discussed tonight. The actual meaning is, there's a very deep meaning. Interdependence should not depend on any particular force or energy or element or agent. There are many factors, sources, causes. Life, let us take life. What is the cause for this life? Of course, others can answer this very easily. There is a first cause, that is God. The God creates. He is the cause. If God doesn't create, there is no life to exist. But there are many others who cannot satisfy with this interpretation or answer. In the Buddha's teaching also we can see the way how he analyzed and explained. Eka hetu, aneka and bahu. Three reasons, three ideologies or belief existed. There is only one cause for all these things to exist. That one cause is Creator God. So this belief was there for thousands of years, even before the Buddha's coming, and today. After discussing this, the Buddha say that he cannot accept that belief, that there is only one cause for all these things or life or elements or energies to exist in this universe. So, in other words, he has rejected that belief. Then another group, at that time, even today, believe that there is no cause. Nobody is responsible. All these things exist accidentally or coincidentally. There is nobody to plan, nobody to organize, without any cause or any reason. Especially life come into existence, exist for a short period, again disintegrate, that is the end of it. And today also there are many who maintain this belief. The Buddha rejected this belief also. He says, without any cause, without any reason, things never come into existence. Then he explained, Hetum paticca sambhutam hetu bhanga nirujjati. Hetu, this Pali word means cause. When there are causes, not only one particular cause, when there are causes, when there are factors, things come into existence. When these causes and these factors disintegrate, dissolve, the thing that which existed disappears. Again, these things that existed divide into two groups, animates and inanimates. The things that got five senses and consciousness, one group. The things that got few senses, not all the five senses, or one or two, but no consciousness. So divided into two. The things that got senses and consciousness reappear, exist again because of this consciousness. And the other things that existed, although they had senses, elements, energies, but no consciousness. So there is no continuity of the life process in such things. This is the nature of existence. Again, the Buddhism is accommodated into this group, Aneka Hetu. That means there are many causes, not only one particular cause. Then analyze these causes. First divide into two, Nama and Rupa, mind and matter. The mind and matter's combination. The mind absorbs the matters. Matters depend on mental energy. When combined together, continuity of life process maintain, appear. But there is no somebody, any supernatural being behind this to adjust, to create, to mold, to change. They have their own magnetic power, gravity, energies, and so many known and unknown energies and factors. Now, Newton discovered gravity. Before that, nobody knew that there is some sort of energy. When things comes down without going up, people never thought seriously why all these things come down. After his discovery, when he explained the nature of gravity, we realize there is something. And this gravity is not created by anybody. Again, Charles Darwin, when he explained the theory of evolution, anthropology, how these processes, elements, evolved, how changes have taken place, evolution, development. So according to him, all these existing living things under this process of evolution, evolving, it is an energy. There is nobody to create this. But there is one thing, very important thing missing in his discovery. He never knew anything about the evolutions of mental process. He knew only about the elements, how changes have taken place in element, a structure, formation. So in the Buddha's teaching, he pointed out the evolutions of elements or life process, at the same time evolutions of mental process. This is the way how changes take place in different forms. So there are so many other energies which we cannot understand. But when we analyze the teachings of the Buddha, many things that he has explained, people could not digest, could not understand. Certain things he did not want to reveal because he knew people can create more confusion, more misunderstanding, because their understanding capacity is very low. Person who realized the reality or the truth through his enlightenment, when he explained to others, they experience difficulty to understand because their minds are deluded. They have a lot of wrong concepts and beliefs, ideas, ignorance, imagination. So it is very difficult for us to get a clear picture. Even certain simple teachings of the Buddha also, we feel difficulty to understand what he is trying to convey, because our minds are not ready yet for certain areas. Certain things we can understand. That is why always people say it's very difficult to understand Buddhism. It is not difficult, but our minds are deluded with wrong concept and wrong belief. I think you can remember almost every day I am going on scolding for those who depend on devils and ghosts and spirits and charms and black magic and this and that, due to ignorance and illusions and hallucinations and imaginations. So as long as they maintain such silly ideas, they cannot understand the truth. That is why it is difficult to understand the teachings of the Buddha. Now your question is very simple. We can argue. But the answer is, the one depends on the other. Not only one particular energy or element or any particular factor. So when these things are interrelated, interdependent. Things come into existence, become active. Now when I talk, do you know how many energies, mental energies, mental faculties, memories, knowledge, understanding, that is mental side. Then the physically, how many thousands of factors are contributing for me to talk to you like this. So when this life, this body exists like this, how many things are working inside and outside, internal, external, visible, invisible, known and unknown, unimaginable. But we create our own imagination because we cannot understand. So when we analyze this according to the Buddha, we don't depend on God, thinking that He is solely responsible for our life. We never accuse or blame devil that he is responsible for all our bad and wicked and cruel things. We had to analyze and understand our own mind, then we can understand. Now let us analyze these two, mind and matter, nama and rupa, Pali word. Why the Buddha used these two words for mind and matter, nama and rupa? The definition is given: namang namana lakkana, mind. Mind is the only energy in this world that which changes so rapidly. There is nothing else in this world that which can change so quickly. That is mind. Therefore he used the word nama. Nama means change. That is mind. Rupa, body. This body is not only this body, formation. This is called rupa. Rupam, ruppana lakkana. Anything that which subject various energies, heat, wind, fluid and other sources to change, that is called rupa. Now our body is going on changing every second, but we cannot notice at once. Take many years for us to understand. Noticeable or visible indications we realized later, but every second changes take place. The explanation is given in Abhidhamma, the nature of the mind and the body. Just now I told you, mind is the only energy in this world which can change so rapidly. Example is given, the lightning. When we try to see the lightning, but we have no chance to see, just appear and disappear. But this mental energy work more than 100,000 times faster than the lightning. This is the nature of the mind. So when the mind changed 17 times, mental process, and then the body changed only once. So the mind changed faster than the body. A Greek philosopher, Plato, I think, not Aristotle, Plato, says, a man cannot jump into the same river twice. Can you understand? When once you jump into this river, come up and again jump. But second time when you jump into that river, it's not the same river. The water has gone very far. And that is Greek philosophy. But when we analyze Buddhism, we can say the same man cannot jump into the same river twice. You understand? How many times this man physically and mentally changes have taken place? See the difference now. So rupa means anything that which change through the influence of energies, elements, heat, and water and wind. So when these two things join together, nama and rupa, mind and matter, again analyze. I think you have heard, no harm, repeat until you realize. Mind divided into 4 mental faculties, body divided into 4 elements. Altogether 8 groups. Major groups. But there are minor groups, there are thousands and thousands inside. All must cooperate. So we experience physical and mental uneasiness, difficulties, pain, unsatisfactoriness, unhappiness, but we do not know why. The reason is the mind cannot agree with the body, body cannot agree with the mind. If not, one mental faculty cannot agree with the other mental faculty, then the friction, clashes take place in the mind. Body, element of solidity and fluidity and heat and motion, these elements must have some sort of equal balance. When there is some sort of imbalance, friction takes place. Then the ache and pains and uneasiness we experience. Then sicknesses and decay, degeneration take place. So we have to analyze. When you study Satipatthana Sutra, that is for meditation, explained by the Buddha, how to take one by one, item by item, our mental faculties, mental object, mental image, and how to concentrate. Analyze this whole physical body into 32 groups. Take one by one. Meditate on this. Then the realization or the fear and unnecessary imagination, wrong ideas about our body and the life all disappear. If we really concentrate by analyzing this physical body, this mind. Of course, when we talk about mind, naturally our hand goes like this. As it is that mind is here, that is a 1,000 years old belief, but still we maintain. Just like when you talk, we always say the sun always moves. Sun never goes anywhere, remain where it is, the earth is going around the sun. But we never give up this belief that astrology also still maintains. The sun moves, the earth remains like this, the ancient belief. So incorporated into religion also. So we must know how one particular factor, so energy, so element depend on another thing, and that one depend on another thing. This one depend on another thing. They go one round depending on this and this and this and this and this and this, then come back to the same place. That is why the Buddha said there is no origin. There is no origin because where life started also depended earlier from another existing thing. Then again, after going one big round, come back to the same place where we were. Example, I have given a parable. Can you remember? A river. Can you remember? So when you want to find out the beginning of a river, let us take this Klang river. You want to know where this river originated, started. So you go on surveying, then climbing hills and rocks and somewhere, and you found out there's the water dripping from the rocks or hill. Then this water slowly turned into a river. You found out the beginning of the river. Now, is that the beginning of the river? Many things that discovered by various religious teachers, scientists, great thinkers, when you study, there is a limit. Because they could not go beyond that. They had to stop there and say, this is the beginning. So that is not the beginning. Then we want to find out where this water comes from. Then we climb the top of the hills or the rocks. Then realized or found out the water that accumulated on the top was dripping from there. So the bottom is not the beginning of this river. The top of the hill is the beginning of this river. So rejected the first discovery. Again we start to think how this water accumulated on the top of the hill or the rocks. Rain water. Then we rejected this belief. The top of the hill is the beginning of the river. Then believe rain is the cause of this Klang river. Again we analyze, what is rain? How the water come down from heaven? Is there any big river or well? No. Sunlight evaporated water, mix up with the cloud, and again drop. The water taken from the same river may drop there and again come back to the same river. Where is the beginning? Again analyze the water. What is water? Hydrogen and oxygen. What is the beginning of hydrogen and oxygen? The origin of the Klang River is hydrogen and oxygen. There is no end. Then the advice was given by the Buddha. Don't waste your time. You will never realize or find out. Because these things are rolling like this. There is no beginning. One depends on the other. Anything that exists depends on something else. One individual unit or the element or energy cannot exist. Depend on something else. So, your question is this flag and the wind, which one is the cause? Both must cooperate each other. Then we can see the movement of the flag. So the life also depends on various elements and energies and factors and mental energies and elements, factors. This is the analysis given by the Buddha, not to depend on any external or supernatural or forces. All these are natural. Because of our ignorance we cannot understand. Therefore we create the idea that created or given by somebody who got more power to create all these things. This is the answer to your question. It has taken 45 minutes to answer your questions. Another one? Yeah. Very good question. You see, it's a very good question. Natural means nature. What is nature? Always we use this word. Nature created this. Or it is natural. Is there any particular energy or factors or unit that we can introduce as nature? No. But we always say it is nature, it is natural or created by nature. Pancha Niyama Dhamma, 5 factors. When these 5 factors combine, cooperate, join together, the life appears. Otherwise no life. What are those 5? Kamma, Kamma Niyama, Chitta Niyama, Bija Niyama, Uttu Niyama, Dhamma Niyama. 5. Niyama means the factors. All these existing living beings must have these 5 things. Otherwise that life never come into existence. If one of them is missing. First thing, there must be mental energy. That's why at the beginning we use Nama and Rupa. The mind must join with matter, otherwise no life. Then you can ask, who created this mental energy? Where does it exist? The answer is universes, not only one universe. Universes are infinite, unimaginable. There's neither beginning nor end. And living beings exist in various forms. Mental energies always exist in these universes. In these universes, these mental energies were not created by anybody. So the existing mental energy, movement of these energies, when joined with the other factors, then start the formations of a life. So that is pure mental energy. Like electricity. This electricity existed forever. Nobody created this. But later we discovered it to make use of it. Just like gravity. Then the next item is karma. In that mental energy, there must be karmic seed, karmic energy. Because no one can exist, whether humans or animals, without creating karmic energies. Every time when we create craving or anger or various other evil forces, at the same time kind, honest, sincere, sympathetic, understanding, and the positive side. All these thoughts generate karmic energies. When we put into action through words and by using physical body, then they become very forceful, dynamic karmic forces. Animals also are not free. They too have anger, greed, all the evil forces. But more evil side. That is why they are unfortunate. So these two factors are there. But mental energy cannot create a life. Karmic energy cannot create a life. That is why the Buddha says one particular cause cannot create a life. And then the third one is bija. That is cosmic energy. First two belong to mental energy. Now we come to cosmic energy. The elemental side, there must be some sort of seeds or egg or sperm or germs, germinal order. Without any germinal order, karmic energy, mental energy cannot produce a life. So germinal order absorb and support karmic and mental energies. Now three factors are there. Even then there is no life. Then the time factor, the period, the season. Rain, heat, wind, cold, these things change the formation, contribute. In every living being or even plant life, there is a season, there is a period for life to originate. Not always. So the time factor is one of the cosmic energies. Now four factors are ready. But still there is no life. Then the last one is Dhamma Niyam. This word we introduce as natural phenomenon. So natural phenomenon is more important. Otherwise, things never come into existence. Then the shape, the color, and the beauty, the ugliness, and the taste, all these things take place because of this. Then what is this? Natural phenomena. Now his question is, what is nature? Or what is this phenomenon? This is the concept or the belief that people have diverted into concept of God at the beginning, thousands of years ago. At the beginning, they used the word Shakti. When you study Indian philosophy, you can understand this very clearly. At the beginning, they never had the belief in God or concept of God. Only Shakti. Shakti means energy. Then they started to worship and pray to this energy. Later, they have developed and developed and developed, converted this energy into a figure and used the word God. So that is the way how man has created the concept of God. The answer, direct answer to your question is, there is no such particular energy or factors or element as nature. When so many energies and factors and reasons combine together and cooperate, some sort of formation take place. That is called energy, nature. But we naturally accept that there is something which is called nature. There is no such thing as nature. Combinations of so many things, when combined together, cooperate and work together, some changes take place, formation take place, that is called nature. This is the simple answer to your question. Yes? One more? Yes. Oh yes. It's very easy to understand. There's no difficulty. There are 10 fetters, hindrances, bondages for us to eradicate to attain the higher stage of sainthood, arahanta and nirvana. So as long as we maintain one of these bondages or fetters or hindrances, we remain within this cycle of birth and death, belong to repeated birth and death. To attain the first stage of sainthood, we had to eradicate only 3 among those 10. Sakkaya Ditthi, Vichikiච්ඡā, Sīlabbata Paramāsa. For a person to attain even the first stage of sainthood, the difficulty, the first one, Sakkaya Ditthi. The concept of self, or the belief in soul, eternal soul. And the concept of that mind, ours, our country, our nation, our culture, our religion. If you claim the Buddhism as our religion, you cannot become a Sotapanna. You have to give up that word without claiming our, my name. The concept of self and egoism, as long as we maintain this, we never get the chance to attain the first stage of sainthood. This is more than enough for you to understand the difficulty. No need to go further. Second one. Vicikicca. Vicikicca. Meaning, we get the knowledge, we learn, but contradiction, confusion always disturb the mind about the theories and philosophy and belief and traditions and customs and all these things mix up. There is no clear picture and no strong determination or conviction in your mind. Take for instance, now when you are sick, when you are in trouble, although you are educated, you know Buddhism very well, but still your mind, in your mind you can see your inner feeling that someone has done some charm, black magic. That means your belief, your conviction, your understanding not clear. You must have clear understanding of the Buddha, the Dhamma and Sangha. Forget about the rest, the philosophy, psychology and also the throw away. You must have a strong conviction, confidence, unshakable confidence. One day, the Buddha visited a very devout Buddhist house to attend almsgiving, and he gave a sermon, and he attained the first stage of sainthood, Sotapanna. When the Buddha left this place, Mara, the evil one, he was very unhappy. He appeared exactly like the Buddha, transformed himself and represented. He said, do you know, what I preached earlier is actually a mistake. It is not like that, I remember later, Later I remember what I said is wrong. Then he started to preach the opposite. And this man has already attained the first stage of sainthood. Then he said, I don't think the Buddhas have two words, only one word. I have strong conviction, confidence in the Buddha. I don't believe that you are a Buddha. Then Mara disappeared. This is the nature of confidence. Other religionists cannot influence that man's mind if he got strong convictions and then ready to attain first stage of sainthood. Unshakable confidence. But in our case, now today you are listening to this, tomorrow another man come and tell you, so and so came from this country, he can cure all your sicknesses and this and that, and you follow that fellow. And when you go and see where he come from, all are sick fellows in his country, but he cannot cure any of them. This is the nature of your belief. I'm sorry, not you, I mean the whole world. I'm not blaming you, you know. All right, the last one. Silabbata paramasa. Silavata paramasa. There are three words there. Clinging or developing attachment towards religious rites and rituals and ceremonies by thinking that we can attain nirvana or go to heaven by performing these religious rites and rituals. As long as you maintain this belief, you are not entitled to attain even the first stage of sainthood. Why? There are various kinds of rites and rituals. Some people believe by torturing this physical body, they can wash away all their sins that they have committed under rite and ritual. Some others believe by offering food and flowers and all sort of things and animal sacrifices in the name of God, or offering to devils or ghosts, they can get rid of all their problems and troubles and miseries and find out their salvation under rite and ritual. Some others believe by burning or torturing or observing silence without talking. The Buddha did not encourage people to observe silence without talking. He said talk when it is necessary. There is nothing important, better to keep quiet. Now this is the advice. So if you believe simply by keeping quiet without talking, you can wash away all the sins committed by your mouth. Again, when we come to our way of performing rite and rituals, offering flowers and candles and joss sticks and lights and fruits and all, but they are not under this category. Please remember, don't mix up. Because by performing all these religious rites, you never think that this is enough for you to attain nirvana. You know you have to go beyond that. But many others believe only by performing these rites and rituals they can attain nirvana, moksha or heaven, can wash away all the sins committed by them. So when these three weaknesses are no more in that person's mind, he is entitled, already attained the first stage of sainthood. Then, why rebirth can take place? Oh, 7 times, that means not more than 7 times. Nate bhavang attamang adiyanti. Pratana Sutta. Atta means 8. No 8th birth for that person. That means 7th is the last one. Nate bhavang attamang adiyanti. Why? He has reduced a strong attachment, craving towards this concept of self and egoism. When we reduce that I and my and mine and ours, so many evil forces from the mind automatically drop. You are facing many problems because of this. We fight, we declare war also because of this. So when we reduce this, we cannot run our motor car more than 7 times. Not enough petrol there. 7th birth. Then the other 2 things, the skeptical doubts are no more and very easy to maintain mindfulness and confidence in our mind. In the last one, we can ignore external rites and rituals and ceremonies by concentrate more on mental purification. Then first stage of sainthood, and within the same lifetime can attain the second stage, third stage, Arahanta. If not, before 8th one, after 7th birth, definitely this person must attain the second stage of saint. Because no more worldly ingredients or energies or powers for him to run within this cycle of birth and death. Cut down. When he attained the second stage, then he had to reduce 2 more. Kamaraga and Patiga. The one who attained first stage of sainthood still enjoy worldly life, pleasure. All the 5 senses that person can indulge. That craving still there. That is why the rebirth can take place for 7 times. Because of that craving. Pleasure. So the second stage, he subdue, because that is very, very strong in our mind. We cannot eradicate even at the second stage, but we can subdue and suppress and control the second stage. And the other one is Patiga, ill will. Anger, hatred, ill will. These 3 words give different meaning. Anger is emotional. We show our anger for good things also. To train others, we show our anger. And unsatisfactoriness in our mind creates anger, that is emotional. But hatred differ. Hatred means I hate you. That means I don't like to see your progress. I don't like to see your healthy life or development. That is hatred. Ill will is more dangerous than hatred. Ill will. Always think of the downfall or the end of that person, your enemy or anybody whom you don't like. That is called ill will. Waiting to see, to enjoy. And when you see your enemy is in trouble or is dying, they feel very happy. This is the danger of that. And these 2 things we can subdue and reduce, then attain the second stage, Sakadagami. Sakadagami means rebirth can take place only once, if not attain the 3rd stage. Because reduce that craving and hatred or ill will. 3rd stage, Anagami, those 2 things that we have subdued in the 2nd stage, we eradicate completely. No more. No more craving for pleasure. No more hatred or ill will or anger in that mind. Mind is completely pure. 3rd stage, Anagami, na agami. Never come back to this mundane world. Then rebirth, appearance. If not attain arahanthood, Suddha Vasa, pure abode. There are 5. Brahma realm, Brahma world, where these people, these holy people, remains until they attain arahanta. There they attain arahanta. If not, within the same lifetime, develop their mind, eradicate the rest of the evil forces from the mind, attain Arahanthood. But there are 5 more. They are very strong. We carry these 5 up to the last stage. First, second, third stages of sainthood also. We did not surrender ourselves to throw away these rubbish. What are those 5? Ruparaga, Aruparaga, Mana, Uddhacca, Avidya. These 5. Very strong. Very difficult to get rid of them. Ruparaga, attachments or craving or inclination toward those fine material world where Brahmas enjoy their life. Because that life is also still within this cycle of birth and death. So when we develop our attachment toward that, we develop one aspect of craving, Ruparaga. Second one is Aruparaga, formless. Our craving to be born in formless world. Because we will be free from physical problems. No sicknesses, no old age, no ache, no pain, no sicknesses, no trouble. Therefore we like it. But life exists. So if we develop this craving to be born in one of those formless worlds, that can become one of the mental hindrances. How to get rid of this? Third one is Mana. See how strong this conceit, pride, terrible. We never surrender this. There are 3 stages. Sayyamana, Sadhisamana, Heenamana. 3 stages in our pride. We think when there are some big shots, we think, I am also like him. You think he is a big shot? That is our pride. We don't want to admit our status. We are equal. If not, Sadhisaman, I am higher than. Although he is a big shot today, he is a rich man, he is a millionaire, he is a minister, I know him very well. I am better than him. Another kind of pride. The last one is Heenamana, inferiority complex. Also pride. You know, people say, well, what to do, we are poor people, they are big shot, they got money. The tone and the language look very funny, indicates something in his mind, intolerance. Intolerance of that person's situation, also pride. 3 kind of man. So we had to get rid of this. See? Then the next one, Uddhacca. It's very funny, mental states. Restlessness in our mind. No one can explain why. Something is bothering, but we do not know the reason why. Not very happy. Cannot say that we want this or that. Also cannot say we want to get rid of this or that, but something is bothering. That mental state. It's very difficult to explain. So according to my knowledge, it is there. You know, in our subconscious mind, certain mental tendencies that we nurtured and developed life after life, our habits, although we have eradicated so many evil forces, like craving and anger and jealousy and all those things are no more. But certain mental habits that we maintain life after life are still going on haunting in our subconscious mind. When these things flare up, influence the mind, we feel uneasiness. Last one, avidya. See, the life originated from avidya, again ended with that. Our ignorance. Although we have done so many good things, we eradicated all the major evil forces from the mind, but still, in our concept, in our belief, we create some sort of mental image by maintaining ignorance. And this ignorance also disappears when the clear picture of the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha appear in the mind. Then that person becomes Arahant. Arahant means worthy one. Arahant, worthy. Worthy of respect, worthy of honor. Another meaning, one who does not commit any evil deed, even in secretly. You know, many good people, religious people, cultured, educated people, look like very good people, but they have some secret. Only person who has no secret, the Buddha, Arahantas. Buddha also Arahantas. No secret in them. Arahant means perfect. Perfect means a person who never commit any evil deed, never uttered any bad word, never create any evil thought. Now he is called Arahant. 9:30, just nice. Akalattha Divummattha Devanaga Mahindika Punyantang Anumodittva Tirang Rakkantu Loka Sadhanang Itta Utacha Amhehi Sambatang Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Namodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Devo Asatu Kalena Sassa Sampatti Hetuche Pito bhavatu loko ca raja bhavatu dhammiko idango nati nangoto sukita hontu nyatayo imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hontu yava nibbana pattiya.